What up, guys? We're live. When this bitch, episode 52. Welcome back to F&T. We're here with Gabe for round number 2.
Yeah.
We got a special guest, and I know I promised you guys a beautiful Russian woman tonight.
It's close
which
enough.
I'm very close to that.
I got a pretty close replacement.
He's beautiful in my eyes.
We got Forrest here tonight. We got all the way across the pond.
Yes.
Even though you are American.
I'm American.
You are American,
Yeah.
but
I've lived in Northern Ireland the last 3 years, but made my way back home. So
for the last 3 years?
I lived in Northern Ireland for 3 years in my
Really?
career. Yeah, it was one of those things where it was one of those things I couldn't turn down. You know, as you get opportunities in life, I always choose adventure.
Of course.
One where I had to say, okay.
Of course. That's like one of those, like you're saying, once in a lifetime opportunities.
Yes.
It's like, I might not ever get this chance again.
Exactly.
I might not ever get to experience a different country for this amount of time,
Yeah.
get paid to do so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't actually know the experience, but like from
Good,
what
I'll
I
talk about it.
understand, from what Gabe's told me, and we'll get into that for sure. But I wanted to ask you something. Irish accents. Are they the worst accent that there is?
I would say there's different variations of Irish accents. There's,
Okay, give it to me.
So there's the southern sort of Irish standard, you know, Dublin accent where you hear, you know, Conor McGregor out there.
Okay,
But
right.
then you go up north and then you get a bit more of a kind of a, I would say even more brash sounding, kind of a English British sound. I'm not great with accents, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is in Northern Ireland there's a different accent, and then in Southern Ireland
Really?
they're interesting. They're beautiful at first, but then I think as an American you go over there and you start kind of saying, okay, I want my accent back.
Well, we all know that we have the best accent. Americans have the best
Absolutely.
accent.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
just
Oh,
the
yeah,
way
'cause
it is,
we're
period.
Americans.
Yeah.
We're Americans. We're the best. Fuck all you guys. No, just kidding.
But seriously.
But seriously.
But really, like, Irish accents, really, like, all, like, Irish, British, basically
Scottish.
any, like, Scottish. I don't know. I'm like, semi-okay with that accent, but those are the worst fucking accents, dude.
Worst.
They don't ever finish their sentence.
It's true.
No sentence get
You
finished.
sound like a pirate.
It just drops off at the end.
When you say as an American, like, yes, or like, yeah, that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. They go, in Northern Ireland, they go, I, like a pirate, like, oh, I, oh,
Yeah.
I, oh,
You're like,
I,
no,
oh, I,
no, no,
oh,
no.
I.
It's like, no, that doesn't make fucking
No,
sense.
what are you talking yourself? What do we say? So yeah, it sounds sort of when you get there, it sounds like you are in a room with a bunch of pirates,
Right,
In some
right.
sense. So you're like, what's going on here?
I listen to this podcast
Yeah.
that is predominantly British,
Yeah,
and it's a podcast, so obviously there's talking involved and a lot of it, and they're really eloquent speakers,
yes,
except for the accent.
Mm,
Their vocabulary is extensive,
Proper.
and they're super articulate.
yes.
Until they start getting to talk fast, I can't keep up. I don't know what the fuck they're saying. I have no idea what's going
Yeah.
on.
They probably
The
think the
te-
same thing. That's
Oh, the
No,
thing is
I
when
can't
you
imagine
when
they
you
don't,
that.
dude.
You don't know that.
But we
dude.
speak so clear and
Yes.
so perfect and so
think the same thing.
the
They're not-
clarity of our accent.
if we were to switch this and think about it from their perspective, an American accent is slow. We tend to speak slower.
Yeah, you're right.
For Irish,
You're right.
They tend to get bored because we are speaking slow.
Oh,
How
really?
fucked
So
is that?
they-
Like,
they
you
literally-
speed it up a little
Yeah, they
bit?
literally, especially as you get to some of the, I don't want to say, but not so educated bunch of the
Okay.
Irish, they tend to think that you need to speed up a bit or you're boring me.
That's crazy.
So
Really?
yeah, as an American, I've learned to speed up my accent
That's
No
in
crazy.
certain
shit.
situations where I need. So like right now I can speak like an Irish. This is their tempo which they speak. So for
Oh,
us,
wow.
you've got to keep with their tempo. It's not about the accent. Sometimes it's about the tempo to keep their
That's
kind of
wild.
their train of thought.
So you were able to like sort of self-analyze your accent and your cadence
Yes.
and sort of change it.
To better communicate with who I was dealing with.
And now was
Adapt to
that
your surroundings.
Adapting.
Right,
We're chameleons, man. We're human beings. We gotta be able to
I'm a
adapt to
little
our
bummed that
surroundings.
you didn't come home with an accent.
Most people were.
Leprechaun
Most
on your
people-
back or something. You know?
were you Did part of you want to develop an accent while you were over there?
Part of me did. Part of me was like, this might be cool if I did develop an accent. But but at the same time, for me, I don't want to lose track of being an American. I'm very proud of being an American.
Of course.
I think all of us should be.
Yeah.
I think we're seen as obviously good people going out there and do what we do. But what I'm saying is I kind of wanted it just because I thought, you know what, it would be neat to be able to explore your horizons.
Under your
and
belt,
speak.
yeah.
Come back and have a golf game. Somebody's just switch over to Irish sounding accent. People would just like, what the hell? So yeah, no. But it would have been cool. Like it would have been cool to do it, but I'm not sad that it didn't happen.
Right. Let's be real. Like, women love accents.
Sure.
No matter, especially I think American women, simple American women at that.
Yes.
I think they can easily fall for accents, depending, like Southern African accent, like a white boy from like South Africa with a beautiful accent. Yeah. I can respect that. I can respect that you're going to get the woman before I do. I can respect that. I know my place here.
And you have to think about it. If you are in another country as an American, your accent is a different one too.
Oh,
so you might be seen as the exotic one.
Well, just like that's different. That goes with even in the States.
Yeah.
You know, California.
Oh, no,
you're a California boy. You know, your accent, like
if it's different,
and
it sounds somewhat decent, and it's not a complete ball sort of accent, you're gonna attract attention for that accent just because it's completely different.
I mean, that's like,
and it's interesting, you know.
Right.
Even when I met my wife in Ireland, she was like, "I really love your accent because it's very clear, it's very on point."
Okay.
And speaking with other Irish women, some of them love it, some of them hate it, but it's all dependent on the person, just like anything else. But,
and you speak very well as well. So, like, obviously, she would be attracted to that. Like, clearly, you're not just some fucking dude that does not know how to speak at all. I can tell that from you just sitting down with you for 2 seconds. I can tell.
Well, thank you.
But now, is your wife, is she Irish?
This is a funny story. My wife is actually Slovenian.
Okay, got it.
But she moved to Northern Ireland in 2006, and she developed a Northern Irish accent as a native Slovenian speaker. Well, so she's Slovenian with an Irish English accent.
I wish I would have known that before I talk shit about Irish accents.
No, it's completely. No, she knows it too. She knows it. She's fine with it. She's like, I hate this accent. You know, well, she's completely fine with it.
That's funny. What do you do for work?
So I am.
What brought you to Ireland?
Yeah. So what brought me to Ireland is I was working for a chicken company. I'm not going to say the name, but I was working for a chicken company, and we needed to. We acquired another company in Northern Ireland. So what that means is we basically said, okay, we need to buy the operations of a company.
Okay.
And when you do that, when a U.S. company buys another company in Europe or wherever, and you're publicly traded on the NASDAQ or some New York Stock Exchange, you need to have certain regulations in place for U.S. securities law.
Okay.
So I'm a U.S. securities law specialist in finance. And we implemented things in Northern Ireland to ensure that what we were doing in Northern Ireland was going to be U.S. compliant for particular things.
Because you guys were involved with that company that was in Ireland.
Because we were, we acquired them. So if you acquire a company, they fall under your belt. And so once the consolidation of that company comes in, it needs to be U.S. compliant.
Regardless of whether or not they're in a completely different country.
Regardless.
Does not matter.
Because we are portraying our financials to the U.S. public for investors.
Really?
Everything under that company needs to be U.S. compliant.
That's interesting because when you look at companies like Apple, they outsource everything to China. Absolutely. We all know Foxconn. We all know the horror stories of Foxconn. Yeah. We all know the fucking nets around the building from people committing suicide on a daily fucking basis. I wonder how they get away with that, because obviously the only reason why me and you can pay $1,000 for this beautiful phone is because they don't have as many regulations there as far as environmental regulations go, as far as any of the regulations go. So I wonder why they can get away with that.
That's a great question. I think that's an ethical question of companies' leadership. I think to me, leadership's you can be so compliant in one thing, but really it's about tone at the top. It's about your leadership team having a certain mantra, the way they operate a business.
Right.
And if you are going to cut corners ethically, that is what you're going to get out of that. So as far as what we do in finance, it doesn't really speak to the ethical concern, because we're only concerned about the numbers running through systems that are generated to effectively give investors the right information to make an informed decision on if they should invest. So the ethical concerns are another subject that I'm not an expert at, but that was something that is sort of a tone at the top, I would say, thing that you should
that makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. that is something that I can never get past. But it's also something that is really weird because I can sit here and say that, like you're saying, ethically, I don't believe that should be going on in China. But at the same time, I'm still buying the product.
You buy into it.
And I'm still, not only am I buying one product, I'm buying all of their products. I'm supporting them tenfold. My whole studio is set up around Apple.
Yeah.
And it's like, even knowing how we are able to do this, why we're able to do this, it's kind of like, well, this is far enough away from me and I don't have to deal with it. It's not a part of my everyday life and I don't have to see it. I don't have to see the ramifications, nor does my family. Yeah. So fuck it. I guess I'm going to go ahead and just buy.
I think right now what we'll see is, I think, in my opinion, what we'll see at least hopefully in our lifetimes, we'll see a sort of a new ethical standpoint. I think we, as youngsters going into business, we're concerned about sustainability. We're concerned about going green. We're concerned about our kids, and we're concerned about our environment. We're concerned about this. And I think with that, I think ethics, sustainability go hand in hand. And so that's something I think you'll start seeing some stuff come about that is more ethically compliant. I mean, you have, I'm not necessarily Democratic, but you've got Joe Biden coming in and saying, we're going to break up all the monopolies. We're going to come in and we're going to basically give more power to the little man because we do not want oligarchies coming in and running the shit. Mm. So basically, he's saying let's rip it all out. Let's break it up and let's do this. So I think you'll start seeing that in some fashion across the group of companies that are big. I think you're going to start seeing fragmentation because we're just getting too big. And you get too big, we're obviously efficient. We're cheap. But at the same time, we cut corners. We learn something. You can start considering ethical concerns within that. Yes.
When it comes to Joe Biden, when it comes to his plans he's trying to implement, and when it comes to him trying to help Americans and trying to help the working class just to better America, like that doesn't sit well with me because I know it's not true, and I know he's got completely different motives than we would hope he has because he's a career politician and because of his track record. Sure. We look at his track record, we look at his numbers, we look at the facts on paper and the things that he has implemented as far as bills go and as far as like his past political track record, it just doesn't look good. No. It doesn't look good. So when I see him doing things like that, when I see him like trying to really go green and trying to implement and help the Green New Bill or whatever that bill was. Like, I'm like, are you really doing that? Or are you trying to cut corners and get money to your shareholders and get money to the people you owe money to? Yeah. Like, is that what this is?
In my opinion, I think Joe Biden is a puppet to a globalist agenda. I think he is run by a bunch of Chinese and people that shouldn't be running America.
No, I don't think you're far off.
I think we have lost some sense of who we are, and the world is seeing that. The world loves America for what we do, and people that tell you that America isn't loved, I think, are the people that are trying to pull slavery eyes because they want to. They just are worried that America is basically going to run too much stuff. But the thing about it is, we help more people than any other country in the world. We have the best universities in the world. That's why everybody comes to America, is because we've got really a great infrastructure,
including China,
for leadership, including China. Chinese come over, Indians come over.
They always have.
And that's not to say that I'm saying America. Fuck yeah, America's great. I'm just saying that is the situation.
No,
we help the world and do what we do, and we can't lose sight of who we are.
Legitimately, I think you're right, though. I do. I truly think you're, and it's actually hard for me to say that and hard for me to admit that because it's not something that. As an American, it's not something that I want to admit. I don't want to admit that like we've sort of lost our way and we've lost our values and we've sort of, maybe not as individuals, but as a country, I think we've sort of sold ourselves in a way because like prime example with Apple and things like that. We've seen with the pandemic, we've seen how beholden we are to China as far as like vaccines go, as far as medicine goes, as far as what China says sort of look at what just happened with John Cena.
Yeah.
Simple movie release. And it was as simple as John Cena came out. He had recognized him as a country. China does not recognize him as a country. So immediately they're like, hey, we're going to pull this movie, period. Yeah. So this expected $6 million you guys are going to get from opening day in this country, you're fucked. And they're relying on that. So John Cena came out, gave this whole sorry speech to China that he didn't mean to recognize them as a country, spoke in their language. And it was like, it was really fucking creepy. It was really fucking weird. And it was like, what are we doing?
It's because he called Taiwan a country.
Taiwan. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Thank you, Trev.
Yeah.
Sorry if I snapped at your ass over there. I'm sorry. But yeah, we'll get off of this subject. I'm sorry for the listeners.
No, we took a little tangent, but it's great. I think it's good for the listeners to know, that I think there's an undertow in America that we should put America first, and that's not going away anytime soon. And that's something that from me and my kids, my family, I'll always push.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like we were saying, with individuals and with like your household and your family, that is the only thing you truly have control over.
Absolutely.
And the way you raise your children, the way you structure your family.
I would say people that don't like a certain way or think that America is going the wrong path, or if they think that Americans are too, whatever they think we're assholes, or whatever, we're too conservative, or take down the statues, whatever. I would say go to different countries, explore a different country from that perspective, and then come back home and realize what we are. Because a lot of people get complacent in everyday American life, and they don't see from an outside point of view how good it is to be here and be home and doing what we're doing and the freedom that we have.
Right. A lot of people that travel say that. A lot of people that have been to many different places around the world and have got to see it, especially are fortunate to see a ton of different living conditions. And a ton of different ways governments control their people and what true oppression is. They come back to America and are like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Exactly. You've been here since birth. You've seen nothing but this. You know nothing but this. And that's myself too. I'm in the same boat. I have not been outside the country. I haven't got to see these things. I have a different perspective because I've taken the time to educate myself. I've taken the time to learn and truly understand how good we do have it in America, how bad off other people are outside of America, why we do the things we do as Americans, as America as a country, why we are helping other people, why when the bills came out for stimulus relief, other countries were included in that. Do I agree with that? Not necessarily, especially not in a time of need, and especially not when there was so much money going to places it shouldn't be going, and not necessarily even saying it shouldn't be going to different countries, but going to different people within America that didn't fucking deserve it, going to slimy little fucks that didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? Like when I see shit like that, it's like, okay, well, is that money even going to a different country for a good cause, or are you fucking paying somebody off in a different country for no fucking reason? It's that shit that bothers me.
Absolutely.
But, like I said, as a middle-class American, what the fuck do we do about that besides vote locally, vote within your state politics? That's really the only thing you can do?
It starts small, You gotta your grassroots. You got to start small. You got to obviously teach your family the right things and have the best group of friends that you can and be the best person you can be around those group of friends, which is sort of what Gabe and I have been together. He married my sister, right? And he's my brother-in-law, and we've always lived that, help each other out, of course, no matter what kind of thing. And that's how we do it. And it starts small. And I think that's what we need to propagate rather than living in I'm not going to say get off your phones, get off social media, but sometimes put that phone down, go help a friend, man, do something kind, right? Live a life that when you die, you want people to remember, say that guy was fucking awesome. And that's what I think, you choose your own vision and what that is, right? You're not going to get where you need to go by scrolling through pages. You're going to get there you're going to get there by doing something for somebody else and how you make somebody else feel. Experiencing life. Yeah. Developing real life experiences, going through adversity, daily adversity, putting yourself through trials and struggles, overcoming those trials and struggles. Adventure. That builds you, that creates your personality. Yeah. That is how you, basically how you form your own belief system. Yeah. Instead of oh, well, this is how I was taught. This is what I was raised on. These are the values and morals I was raised on. My parents believe this over here, so do I. Yeah. All of these things that you experience on a daily basis sort of build who you are. Yeah. And I think
The only way you can get that is through experience and time and maturity as well.
Yeah.
And you don't get that on social media, like you're saying.
No, you're not going to get that by liking people's posts. You're not going to get that by people liking your posts. You're going to get that by getting out there and doing something that literally is intrinsic to who we are as humans.
Right.
And whether that's literally helping somebody out with a Jeep, landscaping somebody's yard, telling them what I think you need to put some freaking polyurethane fucking foam in your wall because there's a hole in it. It's just simple things. It's the simple things that people forget about that I think we need to stay connected with.
That's a fucking true American fucking way to think. You know what I mean? It truly is.
Yeah.
It's a human way to think.
Yeah,
it's a human way to think.
Yeah, exactly.
It begs a good question, though. Like you're saying with social media, it begs a good question. Do you think there's enough adults currently, there's enough parents rather, do you think there's enough parents currently that understand, that are bringing in a core belief system into the household? We do this, we live by this, this is what's important. Don't pay attention to this over here because our children, my child.
Yes.
Our children are going to have a very difficult time growing up in the social media age.
Yeah.
We got really lucky because we came in halfway, half out, we sort of coming into it. We didn't really grab a hold of it, even though as adults now we've really grabbed a hold of it, whether it be having a smart house or really on social media tough every fucking day.
Yeah.
But that's something I am concerned about because like I said, I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit different because I did grow up in a little bit different of an era. I grew up half in, half out. So I understand how important that is to base my household not solely around social media, not solely around what society is thinking of you.
Yeah.
How you have to look, how you have to walk, how you have to think.
Yeah.
Do you think there's enough adults, enough parents out there that are going to understand that same thing, take the time to educate themselves enough to instill these beliefs into their children?
For me, from my point of view, the simple answer is no. I think with current day-to-day life, I think people are very busy, as anybody else is. And in that busyness of the chaos of life, I think people are flying by the seat of their pants with social media habits, with their kids. I mean, think about it. You as a kid, I don't know if you had Nintendo. It's a similar thing. Parents, you just go play Nintendo whenever you're bored. Go on social media now. It's something where I think parents, as a parent, you need to take responsibility, and you need to basically tell your kid, this is what you have a certain hour to do certain things, but at 7 o'clock at night, we're coming off the internet, the interwebs.
Right.
We're going out. We're blackout here. Let's play a board game. Let's do something a bit more as a family. I think those are the types of things we need to reinstill back. Call me a radical conservative or what, but honestly, I think we need to have a bit more balance in how we show our kids how to be sustainable in the use of technology, so it doesn't run them. We run it. And that's where I think we need to be very there needs to be more thought in that.
I think what's scary about kids now is they don't know anything else. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, being on that halfway point, we grew up without that. Yeah. And then we were introduced to that halfway through. So we can have that balance. It's harder for kids now, you guys are even kids that are even 12 or 13, it's like they don't necessarily know what it's like to not have that. So it's harder for them to break that. Like that's all they know.
Totally.
Like, this is it. Like for us, like you said, it's Nintendo, it's video games. That was our social media, our freaking zone out.
Right.
And even back then it was like, dang kids and their video games, now it's like their phones and their social media, like that's their life. Like that's how they live. Like
when you're brought up in that, and it's from literally the day you come home, your parents are giving you the phone, like, here, play with this, like, keep yourself entertained. I'm even guilty of this, you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though me and Brooke really try hard, like, no phone. You're 1.5 years old. She is so fucking smart, and she knows, she gets it, she understands, she's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
And it's like we have to make a conscious effort on a daily basis to be like, no, you're not playing with the phone. Right. You're not. And then she throws a fit. And it's like, wow, already the attachment to this electronic device is so real, even though you have no understanding of what this is, but it's so real.
Absolutely.
And it's like, imagine that except for the parents don't do that.
No.
Except for the parents aren't recognizing, or if this is 10 years ago, or if this is 5 years ago, maybe we didn't quite understand the effects of social media. We didn't quite understand the effects of technology as a whole.
Yep.
So within that 5-year time, within that 8-year time span, we do have a better understanding. These children are 5 to 8 to 7, 6, 10 years old. Well, it's fucking too late now because from the day they came home, this is what they've known.
Right.
How the fuck are you going to stop this now?
It's like, how do you teach an old dog new tricks? And that's something where I think, it's a parenting question.
Yeah,
and it's a schooling and it's an education. It's grassroots. That's something we've got to get out better. We've got to do a better job as adults and as parents in getting our kids to detach from things. I mean, in my household, we don't have phones. Obviously, go off at around 7, 8. And they go into a different room. We do not have phones in anybody's room. We barely have clocks in the house. We don't let time run us. We run time. I mean, we're humans. We can wake up when we need to wake up. So for me, it's getting back to the point though. It's grassroots. It's education. It's parenting, and it's doing that the right way. And it's prioritizing that over. It's just like, I guess, sex ed, or just like any other education you have with a kid.
Yeah,
it needs to be
totally.
your interaction with the web internet, that all needs to be talked about. It all needs to be discussed on what is appropriate and what isn't.
Right. And there's true benefits from the internet as well, because I do find it difficult to sit here and like bag on fucking on technology and the internet, because at the same time I do love it.
Yeah.
I do love it. And if not for the internet, none of this exists.
Absolutely.
Us having this conversation maybe doesn't exist in this manner. Maybe we don't sit down and have a conversation for multiple hours at a time, which that's a little bit different, because this form is a little bit better. We're talking about issues. We're talking about real life things. We're talking about parenting. We're talking about real shit. We're having real conversation. We're practicing the lost art of conversation, or what will eventually become a lost art, because conversation truly is an art, and truly is, when you discover conversation and what it can lead to and the doors it can open for you.
Yeah.
Like, that is fucking incredible. And I don't think there's enough stock put on it today.
No. I mean, I was walking through, I fly a lot because I fly internationally to Ireland, obviously, UK and stuff. And I was just kind of blown away at I was locked down, obviously, in UK for some time, just like a lot of us were, which was an interesting conversation.
I want to get into that.
But going through the airport and getting home, and then going and picking up my son from Ireland and bringing him back here, I noticed that you look around you these days, if you just put your phone down and just detach from where you are, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be literally everybody you look at is on their phone, or they're just completely shut out to the world around them. Their world is that box.
Yeah.
And that's fine if that makes them happy. I'm not going to dog that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, somebody that's looking at that box, do you realize that there are human interactions to be had and experiences to be had around you besides in that box?
And amazing ones.
There are amazing ones which we could be missing out on.
Big time.
We could be learning something from somebody else in real time.
Right.
Human interaction just
That's
around
the big
you.
one.
Yes.
That's the big one, because back to the internet thing, there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
As long as you're learning. The majority of people aren't. The majority of people are just fucking intaking garbage.
Gobbledygook. Yeah.
And something that piece resonates with me unlike anything else, because literally my second job, or my third job, next to being a parent and next to having a full-time job that brings in the fucking money, is this podcast. And what comes along with that podcast is social media. And social media, it's been a giant learning curve for me, trying to not let it control me, and not let it control my family time, not let it control the time I'm spending with my daughter, because there is so much of the day that I have to spend editing or engaging on social media or making posts or researching. And I slowly started to realize, like, oh my God, all I'm intaking is this bullshit, because the only thing I'm paying attention to is, how can I get more followers? How can I get more likes? How can I get more engagement, more views? How can I push my podcast further? Yeah. Before I knew it, I wasn't listening to educational podcasts anymore. I wasn't doing any research to better myself anymore. Yeah. I had put aside my recovery with addiction. Yeah. I'd put aside my mental health. I'd put aside my education on, like, how do I become a better speaker? How do I sort of how do I widen my vocabulary? How do I become a better version of myself? And I was like, oh my God, like everything I had learned sort of fucking backslid all because of social media.
Yeah.
It's like, does everybody know this is happening? Does everybody know this is going on?
It's sort of a veil that's thrown over you, isn't it?
Big time.
And people, I think what that veil is, it's somewhat like in my opinion, it's like a drug in a sense. You're getting immediate result of something.
Dopamine, especially.
It's the dopamine effect. It hits you hard. People, when they get that dopamine effect, I think in their brain, they constantly need it more.
Definitely.
And people don't realize that. They're just going about their day to day. And immediately they wake up in the morning, they got to pop up their phone to see what kind of likes or see what kind of interaction they've been getting out. So that they need to realize that there is a potential addiction in that. And two, how do you control that to a point where it's useful for you and your family? And that's where it's an understanding of that. And so I've completely detached a lot from social media. I think I've got WhatsApp. I've got a group of friends on WhatsApp. I've got my cell phone, and I operate I operate internationally off that. I don't do any Instagram or Facebook. My businesses do that because I was told by my SEO guy to do it.
Of course, yeah.
But
anybody running SEO is going to tell you that.
He's like, just set it up and do that. And I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, it sounds good. But ultimately speaking, I can get where I need to go with just a simple text message. Yeah. And so for me, it's worked, and it's been clearing. It's been rejuvenating because I just don't have to hear the mess all day.
I bet.
Constantly. So that to me is something where, and to each his own. Obviously, if you like that, great. And if you keep, doing that, just understand that potentially it's like any addiction. You could be addicted to something, and it's possible. You have to understand that. It's just like,
quickly. So, and I used to think one of the easiest and probably most widespread addictions was obesity and the addiction to food and sugar, until I realized that because unlike food is not sitting in your fucking pocket all day. Food is not at your disposal.
Hey man, Napoleon Dynamite.
I mean, in a perfect world.
I mean, unless you're me, dude, I'm snacking all day.
Give me some tots, Napoleon. Give me some tots.
But I used to think that until truthfully until recently. And this revelation that I had really just came over the last few weeks, because I would try to have a conversation specifically on the podcast, and words weren't coming to me as easily as they used to.
Yeah.
And it's weird because education was not instilled in me. I can't really say that. Okay, so basic education was instilled in me as a child, not furthering my education by any means. My mother wasn't really, she was a single mother. She was trying to raise 3 children and, just doing it by herself. That wasn't a priority. Eating every day, making sure the bills are paid. That was more of a priority until it wasn't, but that's a different story. And so, education wasn't really instilled in us as a child. So it's taking me a while to get to that point myself and realize how important it is and realize how many doors it can open. Yeah. So when I started to see that backslide, the little bit of progress I had made, I realized how important it was.
Sure.
But something I did want to talk to you about was COVID in the UK. COVID in Ireland in particular.
Sure.
What was that like? Was it extreme? Was it worse than the United States?
And speaking with just talking with my friends like Gabe and stuff in US, it was much worse in the UK. Obviously, when the pandemic hit, it hit UK before it hit the US, obviously, because it was Europe, obviously China, Europe, UK, Ireland.
We had wasn't it European strain and China strain? Those were the two different.
The two main ones, the alpha strain.
Right. Okay.
So it was in Northern Ireland. They're already in UK. They're already a socialist type people. So basically what that means is you're super into government. You just need the government to take care of it. I mean, they've got free healthcare.
Need that daddy money.
They've got NHS there.
They do implement certain socialist ideals.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. In that, literally the mentality in UK was protect the NHS.
Oh, really?
Protect free healthcare, because of all of the because basically they didn't want, because it's free healthcare, they can't afford it, because basically the government is taking on a huge amount, super subsidized. So basically the mentality was protect NHS. In that protection of the National Health Service there, they installed these programs of social distancing early, in work immediately. I mean, in the company that I was working with, they literally had a COVID task force at the executive leadership, daily calls. Literally what we were talking about is putting sort of the heat sensors as employees walked in the door, so that they weren't overheat, so they could see if they've got temperatures. It was immediate and fast, and it literally didn't stop. It was almost like we had a takeover of some globalist world power that said you need to do this immediately. So it was a complete it literally in March it hit early March 2020 in UK. It was earlier than the US, I think, at the time. It hit, and basically I got called into it. There's a COVID task force. You need to now set up your team of 60 plus individuals to operate remotely at the drop of a hat.
Shut the fuck up.
We were sitting in a bunch of seats, literally like maybe 4 times this room. And we had 60 of us in there, and said, okay, guys, go home, basically. I don't want to brag, but I just got into the corner office as literally my dream. I got to the corner office, and I got ripped out of the corner office and said, go work from home. And this was it was something I don't like working from home. And that's something that I had to do immediately, create a remote workforce. And we had to work from home immediately. As of early March, we started working from home, like overnight. We had to update all of our systems, update all of our processes, have new meeting structure. It was a complete over policies, HR stuff. It was a complete
what a fucking
crazy
nightmare.
Overhaul.
So literally within like 1 week, figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, basically.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, and it was intense. I'll have to say that. That's the only word I can say. It was intense.
Quite a bit more intense in America, or at least what we experience here, because like I said, throughout the entire pandemic and still currently, the little pocket of California that we are in, the super, super Republican pocket that we're in California, handled so much differently than it was anywhere else across the United States, specifically in California, especially in California. So we were sort of standing by like, hey guys, we've been working this entire time. Thank God. Thank God our company was able to stay open. We actually barely cut days. Thank God. Did we suffer a little bit? Yes. Not even close to as much as other people did. We were very fortunate. But we never wore masks as far as at work, going into stores, whatever. We had to, whatever. But we got to stand by and watch the rest of the world go through all of this. And we were like, I guess we're good. Like, I guess we're okay. And that was in the beginning. And we were all sort of like, I don't know what's going on. Like, nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And we were sort of in that limbo mode for months. So it's crazy to hear that, like,
it was fast, quick, and overnight.
You guys implemented so many extreme policies is really what they were.
Oh yeah, the UK government, they obviously had their their weekly talks with government, parliament, and they were literally their risk assessment was, we basically immediately need to work from home. If you can work from home, do it now. And figure it out, basically. And kids we're not going to have kids go to school either. And figure that out too, with kids at home, working from home, figure that out as well. And so me being in a different country than US, operating in that, I was completely out of my element. I was thinking, why did I come here to do what I'm doing? If I'm working from home, I could have done this from the US. So therefore now I am working from the US, doing what I was supposed to be doing. So it was actually an eye opener for the company that has some positive, because now I'm working and doing the same thing for international type operations from the US.
Okay, so you are still with this company, and you're like, hey guys, we don't need to be here anymore. I can be in America. I can be with my family.
Dubai. I can be in Zimbabwe.
Really? Okay.
Doesn't matter. I can be in a van that has Wi-Fi at Yosemite National Park. As long as I'm able to tap into Wi-Fi, I can do what I need to do.
That is so fucking awesome, dude. That's the dream, right?
That's the dream job for me. I mean, at some point, yes. But I think we do need to keep track that humans need to get out of their house, because you can work all day from your house and you can be like, oh, this is great. I don't have to go anywhere. I have to spend money on gas. There's still human interaction you need to have with friends, family, anybody else. You just cannot work all day from your house. That's the beauty of people that think that. So there's always two sides to the coin, obviously. But that, for me, it's the dream job, so long as you balance it with getting out of the house and enjoying time with your friends. As you Human
interaction is the most crucial part of being a human. Yes. I realized that at a super young age. I realized that my sophomore year in high school, beginning of junior year in high school, due to I was a fuck up in high school. So obviously, in order to graduate high school, I went on homeschool. Yeah. So going on homeschool, I went to school once a week for 2 hours. I got my test done. I left. Yeah. The rest of the time, I was free to do whatever the fuck I wanted. Yeah. It was an open book test. I didn't have any homework during the week, so it was free reign. So realistically, I was basically out of high school at the beginning of my junior year. Yeah. So I was wilding the fuck out. Also, isolating myself, extremely isolating myself. I was in a toxic environment, violent home. So I was always gone, always by myself. And I learned, and I was angry. I was always fucking angry. And being young and being immature and being uneducated on mental health, being uneducated on trauma, you don't understand what's happening. All you know is you're angry. Yeah. And I sort of understood, even at that age, even without any help and even without anybody like, hey, this is what's going on with you. I was able to grasp onto some sort of like, oh, like this is not good for me. Being alone all the time is not good for me. I actually need this high school. I need high school. I need to be around people. I need to be socializing with different girls. I need to be figuring out social cues, where my place is in the like the totem pole. Totem pole, you know, where I'm at. Am I a nerd? Am I a fucking like am I part of the popular group? Like you need, as much as people don't want to believe it, you need to be bold. You need to figure out, like, you know, your place. Yeah. That's your first introduction to figuring out the world.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I think that as anybody, you need to, in order to figure out your place, just like any company or just like anybody that is marketing their company, you need to have a personal mantra. Yeah. What do you live for? For me, you know, I live for bringing hope and light to everybody I surround myself with. And then it drops down. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to live here. I'm going to have this job. I'm going to do this X, Y, and Z. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to fill out this form. I'm going to take this class. I'm going to get this mentor. I'm going to do, how are they going to do that? Well, I'm going to drive to this. So literally,
so you break everything down.
You get a hierarchy of your, it's like a pyramid, right? What's your top level goal? My top level goal is I want to be, like I just said, but you can make up your own, whatever you want. And then how do you track into that? And that you basically make steps into it like a pyramid. And it's top level, medium level, low level. And then you operate of your low level stuff. And all of a sudden those start going away. And you have your medium level ones and those are still kind of working. And then you get your top level. And all of a sudden you are where you want to be.
Of course.
And that is, to me, that's where you are finding success. You're being bold. You start aligning with the universe and doing what you really enjoy and really empower other people around you to do. It's all about it's not about you though. It's about how can you help people as well do that. And that's one of those things. And
it's a really good way to think. And not only not living for yourself, living for other people, or not necessarily, because that doesn't sound right, but living to help other people, living to educate other people, to guide other people, to lead other people, which I know you do. And it's very evident to me just listening to the way you talk about things that you are a leader, because listening to the choice words that you use rather than other words, obviously it's clear that you're a leader. But that is important. That's so important. And that goes back to the instant gratification thing.
Yes.
That is a long-term goal. That's a long-term plan. Yes. That is not overnight. That takes a lot of work. Yes. That takes focus.
I think the quote they say is it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. Patience. Yeah. And I think, you know, you put the work in and 10,000. People are like, you did the 10,000 hours, like everybody says, you become an expert at what you do. And all of a sudden lights come on and the epiphany happens and it works. And in order to get there though, you have to have a plan. You've got to target your low-level tasks, medium and high-level goals.
Yeah.
And then you start chipping away each day. You have your little chart in front of you. Literally, I have an Excel file because I'm a nerd. And I literally have Excel. I have a tab on my Excel, and I literally look at that file, and it's just my pyramid of what I need to do in order to get where I need to go.
It's important writing things down.
Yeah.
As I get older, I realize how important journaling is.
Yeah.
And it's not the journaling. It's not that. It's what are you writing down?
Yeah.
How important is that to your life? Like paying attention to what is going on the paper,
Yeah.
and not thinking about what you're putting on the paper. Are these things going on the paper like emotions?
Yeah.
Are they goals? Are they things that you want to happen? Are they things that should have happened before? Are they regrets? Like all of these things are really important. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And then like you're saying, like writing out a goal.
Yeah.
Writing out
Visualization.
Visualization. Exactly. I didn't understand that until I got into therapy. And he's like, dude, just fucking try it.
Yeah.
Like you're missing the point.
Yeah.
So now I have 3 whiteboards in my office, in my house. I have an office in my house with 3 fucking whiteboards. I have a financial whiteboard.
Yeah.
These are my fucking goals for my finances. These are my goals for the podcast. This is what I need to handle for social media. This is how I'm going to get there. This is how I'm going to implement this. This is what I need daily in order to reach my goal.
Yes.
All of that these are important reminders for me because like you said earlier, life is fucking busy.
It is. It is. So
it's hard.
You need to clear the I don't know, clear the smoke or clear the room, find out what you want and get after it. I mean, it's simple as that, but it's cheesy, whatever. But it ultimately comes down to making sure you're not being squirreling to certain things that are the noise of the day. You need to have a clear path. That is your path, and you need to stick with it. I think so. For me, like any addiction, those obviously take you away from those paths. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll drink a beer with Gabe, but we're doing that now. We're drinking a beer right now. But
drugs are awesome.
It's it's controlled, and it's something that you want to obviously do just to socialize and hang out. But I think just like social media, it's use the internet, use your devices, use whatever you have to benefit your top level goal. And is that aligned with your hierarchy? If the answer is no, rethink what you're doing and just have different habits. And that's it. And it comes down to that.
And if we were to be taught that, if there was an importance placed on that at a young age,
absolutely,
we might have less people that suffer from addiction and then realize within their addiction that this isn't the route I want to go. Prime example, myself.
Yeah.
Within my addiction, I realized like, oh, these are distracting me from the goals. And at the time I didn't really have any. I just knew I wanted to be the best dad I could, provide the best life for my family that I could, and be the best employee or the best at whatever it is that I was doing. Those were really the only goals I had. And those were personal values.
Can I say one thing there that is what a lot of people do. And I think you're about to say you're going to learn from this, because the thing is you cannot have, when I say your trophy mentality, I call it the trophy mentality. You are in it for that trophy. Yeah. You cannot be in it for the trophy. You've got to be in it for the journey and the practice and be ready to be able to achieve at a level at which you can get trophies. Exactly. You need to teach yourself. You need to be constantly learning, constantly being better. What do they say? Like LeBron James wins like a freaking NBA, whatever. I'm not a sports guy. But
me fucking either.
Yeah, wins whatever. And the next day he's out there. He's like, okay, great. I celebrated. What's he doing? He's back in the gym. Exactly. He's doing his thing. I mean, to me, that's cool. I mean, you could apply that to whatever you're doing. You know, whatever your goal is, you shouldn't be mentally situated to say, I just want the trophy. Give me the fucking trophy. It'll never work. You'll never. You have the wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. You have to be ready to perform at a championship level at all times.
If you're going into something particularly for money, whether it's for money or it's for women or power, not going to get. You're never going to reach your goal. And maybe where that the exception to the rule might be like the stock market. Maybe the stock market,
maybe Bitcoin, these overnight successes. But those are short-lived and those drop and they are very unstable.
And unsustainable. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good spot to take a break. You guys want to take a break real quick?
Very serious here. Maybe we should.
All right. No. Yeah. I fucking love it, dude. Yeah. I love it. Good. Let's take a quick break.
All right, cool.
What up, guys? We're back in. But yeah, I don't remember where we left off, but it also doesn't matter. But I wanted to address something, and we briefly were talking about this off air during our short break. For you guys, it was snap of a fucking finger. But I wanted to address something for the listeners. This podcast is, like I've said before, going to take quite a different turn over the course of like starting now, really realistically starting now. I want this podcast to grow. I want this podcast to reach as many people as possible. And in order to do that, I have to make content that's going to resonate with people to the best of my ability. I have to get guests on that are also going to do the same thing and to push my agenda, really, is what it is. I mean, it's a positive one, but, you know, it is one. And with that being said, I do want to let everybody know that this podcast and our bullshit and our comedy and our fun fucking times, that's still going to happen. Obviously, it's not going to be solely like educational, because I'm a fucking moron. Let's get that out of the way. I'm an idiot. So we're still going to have fun. We're still going to fucking laugh. Still going to get wild with it. But primarily, we're going to have business owners on, local business owners, and surrounding area business owners. I got to turn the AC back on. I'm fucking hot. Sorry. Sorry, dude.
Good.
I can't even fucking think.
That quick, huh?
I'm fucking warm it up, dude.
God damn.
I'm not taking my fucking sweatshirt off, dude. I'll die.
No, yeah, gotta look
Die.
good. Gotta look good. Yeah.
But this podcast, the direction that we are going is going to be centered around local business owners coming on the podcast, sort of promoting their business, promoting their story, and maybe not even solely business owners, just creators in general. Whether it be artists, whether it be podcasters, whether it be YouTubers, whether you just have an online store on fucking Instagram for clothing or for fucking shoes, whatever it is, I want to push that. I want to get that out. I want to hear about that. I want to support that. I want to give people a platform locally that don't have it otherwise, which will in return grow my platform. And that's sort of kind of what we've been talking about during this podcast, having a goal that isn't self-centered, having a goal that is your intent is to help other people.
Yes.
And in return, also benefiting yourself. And with that being said, I know I briefly gave you guys a little like snippet of the name being changed, and Friday Night Therapy is no longer going to be around anymore. It'll still live in infamy, you know. It'll always be like what started the podcast, but I think the name we've decided on, and maybe I can get your guys' opinion on this fucking live on the podcast right now.
Dude, it's first time.
First time anybody's ever been hearing this. My co-host isn't even here. He's out of the country.
Yeah.
Producers here though, and guests are here. So what better fucking time than right now?
All right.
So
I don't even know if I
Throw
have
this
it
on
saved.
us.
the name of the podcast that I'm almost 100% set on is Let Me Hear It. How do you guys feel about that?
No, I think
Let me hear it. Let me hear what you have to promote. Let me hear what you have to say. Let me hear your perspective. Let me hear the business that you're trying to promote. Let me hear your story. Now, how I convey Let Me Hear It as a logo, that's on me. That's on me to let people understand what I'm trying to get across, you know? Yeah. But Friday Night Therapy is not conveying what we're doing on this podcast. Yeah. I know that. Let me hear it. Let me hear
what you have to say about
what you have to say about
Let Me Hear It.
First thing I thought of was the acronym for that. So, I mean, because you always got to think about that, LMHI. You know?
Right, that won't really work.
How does that? It's very easy.
It doesn't need to be an acronym. I'm just saying, is that like, does that look good?
I thought about the same thing. Trust me, especially because this podcast, like,
up there, right? You got Let Me Hear It.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, I don't know. That was just we were just messing around one day.
No, I think
these are samples.
I think you got to consider the aspect of what people are. So Let Me Hear It. YouTube has got fucking, basically YouTube is that channel for people to say, let me hear it. But what I think you are, Austin, is I think you are a type of individual that isn't about to say, oh, you say, I think you can pull it out of people.
Right.
So you have to be.
It's my job.
That's your job. You're the conduit
right.
to pull out what you think your listeners are going to want to hear
exactly
from that person. So let me hear it is great, but is there something in it that you can say, I'm pulling it out of you?
Right.
Or, I don't know how to answer that, but you get what I'm saying?
No, totally. Because that's funny you say that. My co-host literally 2 weeks ago sat here and said the same fucking thing.
It's like you can get people. It's one thing to listen to somebody talk, but to get somebody to talk.
Yeah,
right.
That
exactly.
is the art form in what you are doing here.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let me hear it. I'm not.
Let me talk it out of you.
Yeah, let me pull it out of you, or rip it out of you, or let me just shake it out of you, or something.
Totally. Totally.
So let me hear it. Isn't quite getting to what I believe that your potential is.
No, you're right. You're right. That's why I was like, all right, let me fucking bring it up on the podcast.
So it's how ironic is it? All right, let me hear what you have to say about let me hear it.
And that's where that came from is because like
let me hear it.
Yeah.
When we're talking, when we're like, especially on like a hot button subject, or me and Brandon, which is my co-host, we disagree quite often, which is why he does so well on the show, because he's not just going to yes man me.
Yeah,
he's not just going to fucking sit here and bullshit me. Some of the time he agrees with me, but he fucking doesn't give it to me. He just fucking, he just still fucking argues with me, but I need that, you know? So what I always say to him or say to whoever else is on is like, all right, let me hear your perspective. Like, let me hear it. Let me hear what you got to say.
Yeah.
So that's where that idea came from. But I think you're right. I think that there is, I don't know if it quite conveys what I'm trying to get across. If the listener sees that, if they're going to think that right away, if they're going to think that, because that's what's important.
Yeah.
Friday Night Therapy, you can almost guarantee you're getting some sort of like therapy, working on yourself, mental health, you know, that sort of deal. That's not really what we're doing here, you know, or it was just not really anymore.
Yeah.
But with that being said, now the listeners know, you guys fucking know, and that's just going to grow the podcast even more. And I can't be nervous about that, even though I am, because like what we've done so far has been under that name, which we're still like so small and we've barely started. It really doesn't matter to change the name and to rebrand right now. Yeah, so I have no reason to be nervous. I guess what I'm saying. I guess I'm trying to talk myself into it, you know? I
wouldn't worry so much about your name at this point right now. What I would do is focus on what you want to give to your listeners, and and that's what you will convey and what you already do.
Right.
And so even if it's just your name and who you are, that to me is, there's credibility in just who you are, Austin.
That's a good point.
So to me, your personal brand is almost just as important, if not more important, than your podcast name. Personal branding. So to me, certainly podcasts can have names, like anything, any podcast has a name, but at the same time, you're so, you know, we're starting off grassroots here. Yeah. Your name, you're growing your personal brand. Yeah. Is what you're doing.
Yeah. Austin. Literally. Starting from literally nobody.
You don't need to hide behind any name of sorts. You just need to be who you are.
No, you're right.
And drive that.
You're right. That's a really good point. I think that's easily forgettable.
Yes.
Because of all the smoke and mirrors and the light show that goes on Instagram.
Friday Night Therapy, this and that. It's like, that's perceived value. What is true value in what you're giving?
And that, I think, equates to growth.
Exactly. And speaking to people that want to learn something, want to laugh. But it's not always about the name of the podcast. Yeah. It's going to be who you are and what they tune into. They always know the link to go. The name of it is not going to drive 1 million followers. Right. It's the content in which you create.
You're totally right. And it's, like I said, so easy to forget that. It's so easy to forget that when, one, you're not educated in the subject at all. So you're like, oh, I got to focus on all this other shit. Oh, you know, back to like life is busy sometimes. That applies when you're starting a brand, you're starting like a business per se, you know, because in reality, sort of what this is, it is an avenue to make money if that's the direction you take it, if that's how far you take it. So, I mean, it could be considered a business. A lot of people do consider it a business. I'm glad I brought it up. This is why I fucking brought it up. This is why I brought it up. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do.
Sure. I think it gets back to, though, Gabe's point. I was watching one of the podcasts earlier quickly, and I think just giving people, and Gabe brought up a really good point in one of his things. He said, I don't want to be the douchebag or the fucker that basically doesn't want to help people.
Yeah.
And I always want, I think that's who, in a sense, what you're doing here. Is you want to be the help. It's from a different standpoint. It's from a podcast point of view. It's from a listener point of view. What can you do to help? So I think that's what you're doing. And let me hear it certainly gets there. That's fine. But really it's let's have the conversation. Let's create the content. Let's do the right. Let's build a true value in what people want to hear.
Like, let's cut the fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
here.
all the light, smoke and mirrors and light shows.
You could just take true value slogan, dude. Just true value. Yeah.
True, just steal it from them. Steal their fucking logo. Get a cease and desist.
Anything I say, you can take. I'm a free thinker. Let information, let things be free, and it makes the world a better place. So,
Trev, can you give us a current event? You guys want to? We do current events on this show. Let's get a current event in this bitch. What do we got going on today? What do we got going on in the world? What fucking juicy shit do we got going on? Oh, Jesus Christ. So, you guys are familiar with Kanye West, correct?
Never heard
of course. What? You're joking. Shut the fuck up. No. Hold on. You're kidding, correct?
I don't know. Do you think I'm kidding?
I think you better be kidding. You better be kidding.
I don't know if Gabe's kidding.
Yeah, I'm fucking kidding.
Okay. So
he's a chef, right?
That was a great reference. That was a great reference to the last podcast. When I thought Bobby Filet, what was it? Bobby Boucher.
Oh, Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher. I thought it was Bobby Filet. I don't fucking know movies.
Which is funny that his last name is Filet.
Right.
That's ironic. I guess.
I don't fucking know movies, dude. I suck at movies. Yeah. So Kanye West is once again teasing an album. He was supposed to drop it probably a week ago. It's nothing new for Kanye West over the course of the last 4 albums. Same fucking shit to build anticipation for the album. It's fucking, it's a method as old as time. Everybody fucking does that. Kanye West is known for that. This time, instead of a small listening party, which is what he typically does, and I know this is might be out of your wheelhouse, might not, as far as hip hop goes and that sort of thing. I don't know if you listen to hip hop or.
Yeah, I listen to hip hop. I get down with some hip hop. I mean, okay, cool. I can
just
jam
so
on
you know,
it.
we come from the same musical background.
Okay, so. Got it. All right, then that tells me everything I need to know. Got it.
Yeah.
So Kanye's listening parties are usually pretty exclusive to friends and family, to popular people, social media influencers, rappers, whatever. This time he decided he was going to fill up an entire fucking stadium for the Dawn of Release listening party. Well,
what in the fuck is on his face?
So this is also how he showed up. And for listeners, we are currently looking at a picture of Kanye West dressing a full red jumpsuit of a sort, but except for the jumpsuit is a giant puffy jacket, puffy red pants, this leather looking material with pantyhose over his face to apparently disguise his appearance. One would think it's to disguise his appearance while he's in the crowd.
Wear normal fucking clothes. Maybe that would help.
Yeah, and the problem with this is when he went on stage, wore the same thing. It's like, what are you doing? So Kanye has an insane reputation.
Dude, it looks like an orange plastic fucking 55-gallon trash bag.
I feel like he should be picking. Yeah, it's like one of those bags you'd see
on the side of the freeway,
like a juvie kid, kid, like a juvenile delinquent kid, like cleaning up on the side of the freeway. Exactly, that's exactly what it is.
He's known for this kind of wacky shit.
He is, dude. Eccentric does not explain Kanye West. He is brilliant in a lot of ways, and some would say a genius, as musically genius, and sometimes genius are a little unorthodox. Sometimes genius, most people think, or the idea at least, I wouldn't say most people, but the idea behind geniuses is 9 times out of 10, they're insane. Because you can't be ingenious unless you're fucking insane and so different than the rest of fucking society. And that's how you got there in the first place. That's how you were able to come up with these wild ass ideas in the first place.
So is this him here on the, what's he?
Yes. So this is him in the middle of a stadium in a white covered, the floor is completely covered in white. Nobody has any idea why.
So is this? There's nothing else going on besides him doing this.
No. So hold on. This is even the craziest part. That's what's so wild about this. So not only is he standing in the middle of the stadium, there's absolutely nothing else in the stadium besides white plastic. I don't know what the fuck it is. Whatever it is. Him and his microphone in the pantyhose still. Thousands of people surrounding him. And they listened to the entire album.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
And these people knew that this is what they're getting.
Yeah, and this is what these people wanted because Kanye West, every time he drops an album, it is a giant deal. And unlike every other artist in the world, it will be a giant deal for the next week. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Music nowadays, if you're a giant deal for more than 10 hours, that's a big deal. Like that is, it's honestly like, you've made it, you know, you made your mark.
So he stood out here the whole
time. So,
I mean, it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
it's
kind of a cool thing.
It's Kanye West.
Yeah.
It's to be expected from Kanye West. So not only did he do this, but this is something that is happening on multiple different days. So he's having listening parties for multiple different days throughout the week. He decided, for whatever fucking reason, that he was gonna call the arena. Hey, I'm Kanye West. This is what's fucking happening. Also, make room for me to stay there for a week. I'm going to live at your arena for a week in the basement. I'm also going to bring a chef. I'm going to set up a studio there, set up a bedroom. They're like, what are you talking about? This isn't a hotel.
Out there.
Yeah. This isn't a fucking hotel. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Did they accept that?
They said okay. They said okay. Trev, do you have the picture of him of his little room?
What?
That's where he's staying, dude. He's got a little TV for listeners. He's got a little TV. He's got a twin-sized mattress, and he's got his clothes on the ground. Apparently, he didn't bring a change of clothes. He's been wearing the same thing multiple fucking times.
What was the point of him staying there?
Nobody has any idea.
That's him. Yeah.
Nobody has any idea. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Yeah. What the fuck? Like, when you see this, what is the first thing that comes to your head?
It was a stunt to me.
First thing that comes to my head is the guy is great at what he does. Yes. And I think he's trying to take his artistry or his passion to the next level. And sort of like for me, it's like a Marilyn Manson effect. You do something completely outrageous. It gets attention.
Trying to trendset.
And he's basically trying to me, he's building attention for his brand or whatever he is personally. Yep. And he's doing something that would cause a stir. He's getting back to his floor being on. I bet you his house is a mansion, but he's wanting to say, I can be out of my house. I don't need all these nice things. I can live in one room. I can have whatever pantyhose over my face and my voice be blocked. I can be in a weird colored outfit and I could still be who I am because my art is still speaking what it is, regardless of how I look or where I live.
That's a great point. That's a really good perspective.
What's the name of the album?
Donda. So that's his mother's name. That's his late mother's name. Yeah. Huh. And his mother actually died from plastic surgery. So the story behind that is she wanted to get a bunch of shit done at once. In order to do that, you have to go under for a long amount of time, like for extended period of time. That increases your chances of dying, obviously. The longer you're under, everybody has chances of dying while they're under. Many doctors said that they wouldn't do it. She found one that would do it. They put her under for a fucking crazy amount of time, did her tits, did a whole face, did her fucking ass, I'm sure, did a bunch of things. She died.
Never came out of it?
She died. She never came out of it. And it's crazy unfortunate. And this happened quite a few years ago, but so so he named the album after his mom. This album has been a long time coming for Kanye fans. Me personally, his music has never resonated with me. He's an amazing producer. He's produced a lot of music for a lot of different people, that's never really resonated with me, but I can respect what he does as a business. So his business being fashion, his business being sneakers. I've personally paid outlandish amounts of money for not only his clothing that's shredded to fucking pieces when that was in style, and he's who popularized oversized clothing. He's who popularized chunky sneakers, Yeezys and
Yeezys, yes.
that sort of thing. He created what is now known today as the Yeezy effect. And that's sort of bled out into a ton of other like business ventures. Like, oh, let's create the Yeezy effect. Let's create exclusive like merchandise or content and market it in a specific way, create a want for it and make it limited.
Yep.
He's brilliant for that. He's brilliant. And he's also brilliant for taking things such as the grunge look, which came from Kurt Cobain. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows the like preppy grunge look, that Kurt Cobain oversized look. He took that, he modernized it. He made millions and millions of dollars off of it. He's done that with different looks throughout the years. So me personally, I'm a crazy fan of that because fashion resonates with me. I love that shit. I fucking always have. It just, some people fucking love that. Some people don't.
How do I look grunge?
Yeah, grunge was a weird time, dude.
That is like a thing on Google. Like
grunge.
That's a popular thing to look up.
Who the fuck?
Just coolest grunge outfits.
Grunge was a weird time. And it's still around, it's still alive and well in parts. Yeah, but I think that's a great perspective. I think looking at it as a piece of art rather, and obviously the main purpose behind anything he does is publicity, anything.
Yeah.
But to look at it like this is showcasing him as an artist, him standing in this bright red reflective-ish outfit in the middle of a white stadium, nothing like it's been done before, especially just for a listening party, and he's the only one on the field. Never been done before. Never, ever. That's a great perspective.
So they all showed up knowing that they were coming to listen to his album? Is that
yeah. So they all are there for that reason.
And then he just aimlessly walking around the crowd with pantyhose on.
So they actually didn't know that he was going to do that.
Yeah.
That's, I believe, how he got into the stadium, because he's in the basement. Maybe there wasn't, I don't know. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to walk to the crowd. I don't give a fuck.
Pretty sure Michael Jackson pulled off that look a while back.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Can you look that up for us, Trev?
Maybe a red Thriller. Sort of
oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. He pulled off the all red for sure.
Yeah,
oh, I wonder if
the gloves as well, but never the face.
Never the face.
Never the face mask or the blocking my face.
Live facial distortion.
Menopause.
Thing going. First M that pops up. Let's steer away from that one. Hey.
Obviously, the red leather jacket is Michael Jackson's thing. Like,
obviously
that's
different,
his.
But that's what it reminded me of.
I wonder where that came from, because Kanye, as we were just talking, he doesn't really do anything. He doesn't do anything unless there's a reasoning behind it, especially for an occasion like this. Like, everything's probably going to have some meaning to it. So I wonder what the meaning was behind it. Maybe it was his mother's favorite color or whatever it was, why he chose for the field to be all white and him be all red.
Like a song, one of his songs, like dedicated to his mom or something.
Could I'm sure.
It's got to be a Donda song.
I'm sure. Now, this is the second iteration of a Christian-based album. So Kanye actually took a different turn 2 years ago, I think. All of his entire clothing line switched to like faith-based clothing. So it would say God giant across it, or giant cross. And he started having Sunday service. Trev, could you pull up Kanye's Sunday service for us? It took place in LA in a park, and there would be thousands of people that would join. They would all wear the same outfit. Really what it was a cult, if you want to be real. Anything could be classified as a cult, to be honest, but this was truly a cult. They would all be dressed in the same outfit that was specifically made for Sunday service and was very oversized, sort of took some inspiration from like African culture and African garb, and it was really cool, and it sort of changed fashion, and a lot of people grabbed onto that. So as you can see right here, so extremely oversized, and everybody wore it, and they stand in this multiple giant circles and hold hands, and they sing, and they fucking, it's pretty wacky, dude. When watching it, it's pretty fucking weird.
What's that movie that just came out recently? Summer, whatever.
I don't know, dude. Don't look at me for movies, doc.
Straight up what that shit is.
Really? Can you go to images for us, Trev?
Is he trying to start his new?
Up top?
Is he trying to start a new
Jim Jones thing, dude?
Is he trying to do like it's a Scientology? Is he trying to start something where?
Oh my god!
Like a
Scientology sort of thing, or
a hip hop based Scientology fucking thing? Yeah.
What's that movie, dude?
Yeah, pretty wacky.
And those are his crew.
That's his disciples, dude. Those are his disciples. Yeah.
No. Right.
That picture right there, Trev. Yeah, that's a pretty fucking incredible picture, dude. That is a pretty amazing picture. For the listeners, we're looking at what looks to be a giant indoor service with apparently it's a giant circular screen.
It's almost like a UFO, sort of like they're being sucked up into a.
There's like fire in the sky going on.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
But just not to straight. I mean, I guess we can straight. I don't give a fuck about really, but looking at that picture, looking at what Kanye's done.
That's it. That's the movie.
Midsommar.
Look that up.
Midsommar.
I wonder what pushed him to go this direction, to like switch from because literally right before he made that switch, he hosted Pornhub Awards and did a song with Lil Pump, which I'm sure the whole world is familiar with. He's long gone now, but he did a song with Lil Pump talking about fucking bitches was the song.
Yeah.
And they came out dressed as water bottles at the Pornhub Awards. He hosted it, made a song for the Pornhub Awards. And then all of a sudden he came out, this is what we're doing now. We're only making this music. This is what my life is based around. So it's interesting. I wonder where that switch came from.
I think he must have had a philosophical and religious experience or an awakening.
Yeah.
And he drove that, and now his art is, once again, it gets back to what we were talking about earlier. What's his top level goal? And top level goal may not have been aligned to what now it is. Maybe he's got a new top level goal. And
ultimately, is this better than talking about fucking things without substance? Talking about fucking bullshit, drugs and women and fucking, quick, popular, whatever's going on at the time.
Quick results, nihilistic sort of, almost it for me, it's there's a bit of a hedonism in it when you have a quick sort of results driven. I want the pussy now. I want the drink now. I want this.
Instant gratification.
He's now probably going and rethinking his life a bit, hopefully, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And maybe coming to some sort of higher truth for not only himself, but maybe his family and his followers.
I wonder if he, being the person he is, doing things as large as he does, especially being that he's in the public eye as much as he is, I wonder if the decisions he makes have to be fucking grand. If I'm going to go through with this, it's got to be my entire existence. It's got to become who I am. I can't do anything small. It's all or nothing, which I can resonate with. Yeah. It's one of my biggest fucking things. Why I was a drug addict. Why I go so hard with podcasting. All or nothing for me.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is why he's like, I'm in. I'm fucking in, because also, is there a piece of success that makes you feel as if I don't want this to go away. I need to attribute this to a higher power and not be so self-centered. This is all me. I fucking did all of this, because maybe there's a feeling that this could quickly disappear. Yeah.
No, I think with the, for me, a lot of things have been reset recently. What value systems for a lot of people, I think, with being locked down or what have you in different parts of the world or just working differently. I think there's a lot of people that have been looking at their life and saying, what is higher priority for me? What's real for me? What's true for me? So I think he probably, didn't he go through a breakup recently?
Kim Kardashian and recently just fucking split up. She's out wilding, he's out wilding, you know.
Yeah, so I think with that, I think maybe going through that whole process, he probably came to grips with a similar sense of rock bottom and said, is what I'm doing what I want to be doing and what I want to leave my children and my legacy?
Oh, that's a great, that's a really good question.
And
that part of it.
Yeah, and so if he wants to be, I don't know, out there in his occult or faith or whatever, I bet you that he has I bet you if you go to his website, he's probably got a mission statement, that faith website we were just looking at.
Oh, I'm sure.
Probably talking about what he's all about.
I guarantee it.
I'm sure that's what he's all about. And to do all the power to him, as long as, you know, you're driving positive message. But
no, that's a really good perspective. That's a great perspective. It's gotta be so challenging to be that popular, to be that famous. Every fucking move you make, you can't even go through a divorce without the entire world talking about it. We talked about it. Dude, everybody talked about it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take a shit without people talking about it. That has got to be so fucking difficult. I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
Do you think anybody like truly wants that? Maybe without knowing what that comes with, what that level of fame entails, maybe you would want that. But I think if you're being objective.
Yeah, I think for me it's I don't want to get back to this thing again, but ultimately speaking, I think he's a very talented individual. And when you're that talented, it's you're wanting to get your talents out there. You wanting to make he's done it for himself, but you can't not let who you are out. And if that who you are is driving a following, then he's got to own that. And he's got responsibility in that.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to deprive yourself of your artistry just because of it's going to bring more people. If anything, that'll drive you and to be a better person and say, I want to do this for the right reasons if I'm getting this type of following. But I think for him to say, this is not what I wanted is probably not the case, because you always, I think as a human, what you love always speaks. And if people follow what you love, then that you're not going to stop it.
Right.
You're just going to let it be. There's really you're getting self gratification from it.
Yeah.
It's helping people in some sense. Hopefully, you're doing this for the right reason. Hopefully you're not really trying to start a fucking cult. Yeah.
And you're like, hey, this is the way I can start a cult.
It's like Charlie Manson shit.
Yeah.
You know, start a cult, fucking let's commit suicide.
Yep.
Not really the right reasons, but he had a following and he was doing what he loved.
He did. Yeah. He had a following. He had people committed to him. He had people that were willing to die for him.
Yeah.
People willing to kill for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to follow his every fucking word, which there's a lot of very interesting stuff involved in the Manson case, and which was sort of exposed by that book. I don't know if you had heard about it, but it was Charles Manson, the CIA, and the secret of the secret societies.
I heard about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck! I can't believe I can. Damn it! What's the author? Fuck! That sucks. He was on Rogan. That fucking book blew that wide open. Blew the court case wide open. Trev, can you look up fucking 2020 Charles Manson book? CIA. I fucking goddamn, I can't remember the name or the author, but it was an incredible book. I don't know if you know much about Charles Manson or if you've ever looked into Charles Manson or conspiracy behind Charles Manson.
I don't know the motherfucker that well. So I know who he is.
I wish I did, dude.
I've never read a book on him.
I've heard, I had some, a professor in college that was a teacher of Charles Manson at Pelican Bay.
Really?
And he would talk about, because he would basically have to go in and speak to these guys. And Charles Manson was out of control, obviously. Oh, yeah. He's a maniac.
Being dosed.
He would always hey, teach. Hey, teach. He would talk to the professor that I had. Hey, teach. That was a really good lesson. Hey, teach. And at one point, there was something that the professor would always give him. I think it was like some sort of like candy bar or something. But one day he didn't bring it. And Charles Manson went off the rails.
Shut the fuck up.
Literally was like shaking the gate. Teach, I need this, teach. Just completely went off the rails. And so that's as much as I know about Charles Manson because
Really?
of what I've heard, that he was a complete maniac and he was self-centered. And if he didn't get what he wanted, he was a child. So, but he was very smart, obviously,
Very
because he can
intelligent.
manipulate like
Very.
a motherfucker.
But he had never received any like proper form of education in order to like get to that point, which is why the conspiracy behind the CIA being involved with Charles Manson is so prevalent in today's society, because it's like, how the fuck else? Because the CIA was currently working on different forms of mind control. How do we get inside of people's brains without physically intruding into people's brains? And they developed a way to change people's memories without actually ever physically touching them, which is fucking insane to think about. And also really scary to think about, because there's no possible way they ever stopped that. It developed.
Yeah.
It developed into probably what it is today, which who fucking knows? It's, really goes deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole, which I'm pretty, I enjoy conspiracies. I enjoy hearing about them. I enjoy hearing perspectives. And I enjoy hearing certain people be so passionate about them and really they know everything about it. I would love to have somebody that's super conspiracy driven on the show. I would fucking love that. I don't know anybody like that. Maybe one of the listeners does know somebody that is super involved in conspiracy. Hit me the fuck up. Don't be scared. But yeah, Charles Manson and the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s was the book by Tom O'Neill. And I encourage everybody currently is listening right now to go listen to the podcast that Tom O'Neill did with Joe Rogan. It was in 2020. It is hands down. I have listened to, I would say probably somewhere in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 different podcasts, 3,000 to 4,000 different episodes, not podcasts, episodes. The best episode I have ever listened to, period. The most informational, the most educational. It will change your view on the CIA as a whole, because there is so much proof. And the way it's laid out in the book, I've also listened to the book. I haven't read the book. I won't say I read the book. I've listened to the fucking book. But the way it's laid out, it's not laid out for you to... The author really wants you to make up your decision. He's not trying to push his narrative on you. He's not trying to persuade you to think a certain way or to oh yeah, the CIA did do this. He's laying out the evidence. He's laying out what happened. He will give little now this is what I think. This is what could have happened if this happened. But he's not this is what happened. This is what you should believe, which I think is really fucking important in today's society, in a world filled with people stuffing their fucking narrative down your throat. To read something like this that was, put out there to the masses on Joe Rogan's show, for it not to be like that is fucking huge, especially within authors. Because let's be real, authors and writers don't have the best track record for being objective and to not having an agenda and not trying to side with their political party. That's what this world is now. Everybody has a side they're trying to fucking side with, or tribe they're trying to side with, rather. But I encourage all of you to go watch or listen to the fucking episode. I have no fucking... I don't subscribe to the not talking about other podcasts on my podcast, because it's I can't not. I love podcasts. I fucking love them. I can't not talk about them. That's where I get my inspiration from. But, Trev, give us another current event, dog. Please and thank you. Oh my God. So, hold on, Trev. Let's restart that real quick. So, let me preface this video real quick before we start. So, there's a city council meeting being held in Alabama last weekend. There was what appears to be 4 or 5 city council members sitting on the what would you call that? Podium, desk, board. Yeah. And they're in the middle of a meeting. I am not exactly sure what was said, but somebody's at the podium, a member of, the town. He's speaking. All of a sudden, something is said. One thing leads to the other, and I'll let you guys listen to it. Go ahead, Trev.
Do we have a house neighbor here? Yeah, do we? Would she please stand up? Yeah, I'm saying do we have a house neighbor here?
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
That's brutal.
This is 2021.
Jeez.
We're in 2021. Now, I understand this is in Alabama, but it's like, how far behind are you guys? Like, what? So for people listening, if you did not hear that, I will include a clip in the audio and bleep out the fucking word that was said because, well, probably shouldn't be promoting it on my platform since, well, I am not black. So probably not something I should be putting out there. But I will put it out there with bleeped. So what was said by one of the council members, a white old fucking dude that's completely out of touch, evidently. The black woman sitting on the board says, I know I'm black. She's kind of got her head down as if she had, was being insulted, clearly. He stands up, clear as day, says, do we have a house N-word in here? In front of everybody, in front of God and everybody. And everybody is fucking shocked. Like, nobody knows what to do. Like, in the video, everybody probably has an idea in their head. If you would have told everybody in that room before they went in there, hey, about an hour in, this old fucking piece of shit's going to stand up and say these words. What's going to be your reaction? I guarantee everybody in that room would have said, I want to stand up and fuck that dude up, or this or that, or this or that. The reaction that was in that room was like, I can't believe what just happened. I can't believe in this day and age.
Any more to that video? Is that it?
That's all the video they can put out. Yeah.
What happened to him?
So I actually don't know because I just copy and pasted this so we could talk about it on the show. But the mayor, let me just
leaves.
Briefly read this. I'll have to edit this out. Sorry, guys. So the mayor of Tarrant, Wyman Newton, in an executive session. This was a mayor?
The mayor has neither apologized or admitted he was wrong in doing this.
My God.
He has no plans to resign either.
What a crazy guy.
Oh my fucking God, dude. The mayor of this small town in Alabama was the one to do this.
Unfortunately, everyone behind that town is for him.
Well,
probably.
Probably in that town. You're probably right. Alabama county is one of those places, though.
The mayor's doing that, and everyone else is probably like, "Yeah, right on, dude." Like,
how do you get away with this?
You live in Alabama.
Like, there's got to be some action taken, right? Like, or do we just say, "Well, he's the mayor, let him get away with it"? Like, there's his higher ups got to be like, "Nah, like what? Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You're out of here. You're gone, dude."
Yeah.
He had to get his ass kicked. I mean, 53% of that population is of color.
Okay, so that's what I was just about to say. Alabama's a really strange place because you have a clear half and half. You got some super racist people or just regular white people. You also have black people, African American population that's heavy in Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I don't understand. How could you be this fucking dumb, racist, whatever you want to fucking call it, to just blurt this shit out? This is something that happens when super fucking racist old racist white dudes are on a hot mic somewhere in a meeting, you know, somebody leaves the room and they're like, yeah, fuck that fucking piece of shit. And they get caught.
Yeah. Well,
Not standing up in front of everybody.
it's not like this is anything new we're talking about here.
It's not.
This is the past. This is history. This is American culture.
Literally.
From, if you were to think about it, I'm sure this guy is not in his 30s.
Nope.
But he has been raised with that mentality, and that won't always go on, obviously, but fundamentally speaking, it's like your great grandpa, or your whatever it was. He's probably slaughtered some Native Americans,
Of course. Yeah.
and wouldn't think twice about an eye about it. But it happened, and it's just part of history. He's a relic. He's going to not be here in 30 years from now.
You will not be.
And we will have a new generation of people with a bit more
compassion
for
empathy.
And
understanding.
Yeah, I think there are certain words that are obviously off limits. But I think you cannot I think obviously the N-word is wrong, but we have to think in some fashion. Words have obviously very strong meanings.
Yes.
But nowadays, I'm going to flip this on its head a bit.
Okay,
because
totally.
I think you're setting a tone of, this is all, yes, of course, saying that word is bad. But what I'm saying is I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that words such as, there are people that say like, oh, retarded. And that word 20 years ago is fine.
Yeah.
Of course it's bad. I know this.
10 years ago,
even now, even saying your whatever, all the LGBT plus, the 42, 93, 75, it's starting to get almost comical how many words are being censored from our speech. Of course, I'm not going to say the N-word is appropriate. What I'm saying is there's another, I think, mentality too we can't get offset with is we can't be such babies with things that we're letting words impact us. Obviously, the N-word's wrong.
Is the exception to that rule?
Yeah. There are a couple exceptions. That's the grandfather. Yeah.
Right.
We're not going to say that one, but
everyone's trying to ride
but
that
you can't use that trend to stop an appropriate sort of word that has always lived on to explain something. Like you can't say midget. Okay, we'll never call them small person.
Right.
Sorry if I offended anyone with midget, but that's what I learned. And now that's
midgets are fun with midget. I really do.
Yeah. So I think there's a bigger conversation to be had around. Yes, N-word's bad, and that's a dying thing.
Yeah.
People that say it tend to be very old school, unless you're very radical white supremacist and sort of thing. But that's very, very, very remote part of the population. I think in my opinion, they've expanded that. And they said all Republicans, all whites use the N-word, which is not at all the case. It's such a broad generalization. BS narrative. They're calling Republicans like, what do they call Republican? What's the new thing? They're calling us, or I'm a Republican, so sorry if that offends anybody.
As am I.
So they're calling the Republican mentality right now the biggest threat to American society, bigger than terrorism.
Yep.
They're calling the conservative Republican white dad, lawn mowing motherfucker, your worst nightmare.
Yep.
Get out of my face.
And you bounce wearing ass.
And I have heard, I have fucking heard this narrative being pushed. Truly, like
that frightens me a bit. And so, well, I get that, but at the same time, that they're using that platform there to broad brush well-doing. When I say it, white American guys are trying to do the right thing for their family and for their country. And I get that, but I don't like that being used in a broader sense of who we are. And I think that's something we need to explore a bit.
I think part of what you're saying is like getting back to what words are. Like let's break this down for what it is. Like we were saying earlier, like let's break this down.
Yeah.
What are words? Words are essentially a way to convey feeling or intent. Like that is what words are. Now, we are at a point in our society. I would like to sit here and blame the left, but I think the right also has a hand in it too. But we're at a point in our society to where we have total disregard and for words conveying intent or feeling or emotion or, we're like, no. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter what your intent is behind saying this word. this guy's intent was completely emotional and completely illogical and wrong. So we obviously, that goes without saying, but we've established that in this particular situation. But like you're saying, with other words, we're no longer in a society that operates off rational thinking. We, and not meaning us in this room, but a lot of, especially fringe parts of society, operate off of emotion, no longer operating off logic. So, like you're saying, the conversation, I feel like, needs to be had over and over and over and over of like what words are. What are words? Like, that is something we're fucking forgetting.
Yeah.
Which I think is somewhat of like what you're saying as well. Like, words do carry power, yes.
Yeah.
And certain words shouldn't be said, yes. But how fucking far are we going to let that go?
Exactly. We cannot continue to ride this wave of, I think, progressivism to a point of we're losing our speech.
Yep.
And we're becoming watered down.
Move that a little bit closer.
And we're becoming watered down in our speech. I mean, what we need to understand that we have to take a stance somewhere as to how far we can let this go. Obviously, generations change and people mentality change with whatever they're enlightened with at the times. But in my current thought, in this momentum we have with where we are, we should take a stance and say, no, that's a midget. That's a small person. It's a midget. You can say the same thing. Yeah. I'm sorry if that offends somebody, but there's certain words that just aren't the N-word status, but we can't let that momentum of this progressivism take over our language and water us down.
I do not have malintent in what I am saying.
No.
Like, you have to understand that.
Yeah.
Period.
It's specific. There's specific words that society or the left or whatever you want to say, progressivism tries to water down to where it doesn't become specific anymore. Small person, that could be a toddler.
Yeah.
That could be what are you saying
right
now? Come on, let's be specific. We have lost what a specific. How do you
that's
say
a hard word.
That's a tough one. I can't even say that specific word.
Say it, dude.
I'm going to attempt it.
Butchered it on the podcast many times.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we need to keep some sense of specific speak to where people know what we're talking without constantly have to relearning a new progressive language or skill. It's constantly changing. So I mean, it's just tough to keep up with.
And it's very virtuous and it's very virtue signaling, being like, these are the words I use correctly, and I am siding with my tribe, and this is what I do. I don't say these words because my pronouns are in my bio, and like that is where we're at now. That's normal for giant corporations to have their pronouns in their bio.
Oh yeah,
which is fucking insanity.
I forget what company it was, but they've got policies now of off-word limits, charts and words that are sitting on
many companies.
No, you can't touch this word. You can't say that because that could mean this and that. And it's like, oh my goodness, where does this end? I mean, what's next? I mean, it's like we're being muzzled in a sense because we're not allowed to speak of what we learn because it has some sort of connotation to some sort of negative reaction by somebody that's already probably pretty weak in their understanding of who they are.
Yes.
I mean, take some responsibility and just own what you have and just let's get on with it, man.
Let's fucking move on. Let's get back to real life. Because at the end of the day, like, the majority of where this type of thinking stems from really came from universities. If we want to break it down and we want to go back to the beginning, back to, what would you say, 2016 is really when all this progressivism, like hardcore, because progressive thinking has always been around. It's always been prevalent. But really when it got fringe, I believe it started in Evergreen College. Super fucking far left, progressive, can't say this, can't say that. Oh, fuck my life. I forgot where I was going to go with this.
Well, we get you. Effectively, what you're saying is that these guys wanted to push their agenda of watered down language because they are afraid it's going to piss off or hurt people's feelings.
Right. And it's bled into corporation. It's bled into corporations.
Because, corporations.
Oh, that's where I was going to go with it.
They've hired these people.
Yeah. And all of these kids, which is what they are, kids with zero life experience, because their parents were well off enough and established enough to afford to send them to college, to a super liberal arts college, which is where they were indoctrinated into these liberal ideals, and carrying them out into the world, carrying them out into the corporation, carrying them out into like these giant fucking businesses, starting businesses of their own that are centered around these ideas. And now all of a sudden, liberalism is embedded into even the fucking hardest of the fucking military. It's like, what? Yeah. What the fuck happened here? How the fuck did we get to this point? But it's unchecked. When it didn't help that the left adopted the progressive ideas.
Yeah.
And like really held on to it, because now you have a political party behind it. And now you have a political party making bills that are based around this, and laws based around this, and things you can't do and can do.
Yeah.
Like that did not help us any. That escalated it.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Well, it's communism. I mean, if that's the thing. That's where the progressive goes, is you get to socialism, and then you all of a sudden you're paying so much tax, and all of a sudden you've got like UK and NHS,
right.
And then you're freaking wrecked with all your disposable income. And then all of a sudden at that point, once they've gotten you to socialism, then they want to hammer you down into communism, and they want to shut you up and say what you can say. And that's something where there has to be somebody to say this. Where is America heading? Are we equipped? Are we equipped now? And are we equipping our children to have a balanced approach to contradict? Just because somebody says something on the left, you have to be able to contradict that and say, well, what about this? You cannot let things, like you said, be unchecked.
Yep.
And that's where we need to continue to operate there.
Right. Exactly. Trev, we got another current event? Or nah? Oh, yeah, this is a wild one. So, Rolling Loud. Another hip-hop centric fucking current event here. So, as two people that were in a band, the stage at Rolling Loud, right before they decided to kick off, Rolling Loud, you guys both know about Rolling Loud, obviously. Giant event that takes place every fucking year. And at the Hard Rock Stadium, one of their massive stages came crumbling down. Now, I have no idea why this happened. I seen this and threw it into the notes so we could break it down and talk about it.
First thing I thought it was Bryce, dude.
We got
our buddy Bryce.
I was
saying about the sound and lighting.
Yeah.
Shit, was he there?
So, from an artist perspective, I can only imagine how that made them feel. Like, holy shit, am I going to get on this stage and it's going to fall the fuck down? Like,
yeah. We're. I mean, you gotta imagine before somebody goes live that there's like a test to say this is fucking
like
stable.
a shakedown test.
Grab
the railings.
Just like something that says this is good to go. But
before they put a fucking millionaire on the stage,
and
somebody with like real fucking like. All of these people are here for this specific person. Yeah.
You would think that there should be a check there to say that that's good to go. Not sure if that happened here.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Was anybody injured, Trev? Mm-hmm. So a stage screen structure collapsed during a presentation for Rolling Loud Miami on July 22nd, one day ahead of the festival scheduled start date. According to a festival representative, there were no injuries resulting for the incident at Hard Rock Stadium. Okay. So that's good, at least.
Yeah.
That's fucking good.
Who's responsible for this?
Who's paying for the damage?
For real?
Probably I'd imagine it's the contracting company that put the stage together.
Wow, dude. So I'm guessing probably what happened is, obviously, if corners weren't cut, would this have happened? Or is it just like shit fails sometimes? Like accidents happen, shit fails.
Yeah, well, that kind of thing, shit can't fail sometimes.
I know, dude. It's like, this is that's a big deal. Like setting something up like that is a big deal.
It's like a collapsed bridge in the sense of things. You bridge you got to have some checks and make sure it's operating. Yeah. Right? I mean, you can't just throw together a piece of plywood and put an amp on it and let's go. I mean, when there's that many people involved, you've got to have some checks.
There's gotta be.
And it sounds like that didn't go through the appropriate checks.
Is there anything that's like the root cause,
like why it happened?
Yeah.
I'm sure Trev will find it for us.
Like, oh, the bolt came out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like what the fuck could have
Fucking
even
Jim Bobby forgot to put in that
maybe it's
last
like,
screw.
or maybe like there's some metal that got, I don't know, clamped wrong and it was like kind of flimsy or something that.
Or fucking Billy Joe fucking rammed into it with his fucking F-150
the
trying to make
Harleys
a
came in,
statement.
too many Harleys came in on stage and
Right.
overloaded one section.
It doesn't say. It was just saying that it was the giant screen that's behind them that they put their stuff up on.
Yeah.
It fell over onto the stage, and no one was on the stage at the time. Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine, dude?
But then in the article they go.
That sounds like somebody trying to cover their ass is what that sounds like.
Well, they start talking about the weather and about how it was going to rain, and they had 40.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude! Somebody's really trying to cover their ass.
Oh, dude, diversion, swerve.
They're like, the weather and the fucking, the dicks and the fucking.
The fucking seagulls took it out.
Yeah.
Do a shit on her.
Wow, dude! As an artist, I know directly after this on Twitter, you've seen this person dropped out. This person dropped out. This person dropped out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck, dude. Those are big names.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of money. Lots of money. You're paying these people hundreds of $1,000s to come perform at Rolling Loud.
Yeah.
Big fucking deal. But what I was thinking, I was like, for sure there's some rush. Like, this is a giant event with multiple stages. Dude, that was probably the 8th fucking stage they set up that day, or that week. They're like, dude, let's get this bitch together. I don't give a fuck how you gotta do it. Just get it done. Yeah, that's pretty fucking wild. Pretty fucking crazy. But as two people that are you ever a former musician, or are you a musician for life? Is it kind of like the military? Like once a Marine, always a Marine? Like once a musician, always you can probably pick up an instrument and remember how to play it, right?
But, I mean, you could be a former musician. Like, to me, if somebody says former musician, that's like, oh, I did it professionally or as a some sort of over above and beyond hobby, I guess. I don't know. Like, to me, I don't know. You can play guitar in your room and not do shit about it, and you could be called a musician. It just
That's a good point. So what level?
You use the
I guess
word former, like you automatically assume like, oh yeah, you did something with it. Like you played a show or two, or like.
I've never heard in conversation go, yeah, that's my friend. He was a former musician.
Yeah.
I've never heard that said.
I mean, like, when
it's
you
either
hear
you're a musician or you're not.
Right. When you hear former musician, like the first thing you think of is like you were in a band and you played shows. Yeah. And now you don't. If you just say, oh, he's a musician, like, oh, maybe he plays guitar on the weekend or he goes to the bar.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Like
former is just where you would lose it. It's just a different like.
Right. If I were to sit here and say musician, do you still play anything at all?
For me, myself, I'll pick up a guitar once in a while.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Growing up, I mean, yeah, so Gabe and I, obviously we talked about this before, but we were in a band and he was drummer. I was guitarist. We had our other buddy, Rise, was guitarist, and another guy, Dan, who was a bassist and the lead singer. And we would we'd play probably at least once or twice a week in garage, and then we'd do shows and stuff.
Right.
And get around Northern California and we'd have fun at it. We were only like 14 to 16, So it was like a high school sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I still pick it up every now and then. It's acoustic stuff now. I'm really into like kind of like just 12 strings and that kind of thing.
That's dope.
Mostly just small acoustic. I listen to metal still, but I've never picked up my guitar and just like jammed out because one, I've got kids and it's gonna break the walls down. So I mean, for me, it's just acoustic stuff at the moment.
But for your wife,
my wife,
have you played some acoustic for your wife?
Yeah,
possibly sitting there naked.
No, just for me.
Definitely with a shirt off, getting a bottle of wine going. Yeah, so I think it's gone. I think it's gotten there before, but never.
Always putting some oil on the back of the guitar.
Yeah.
As a kid, my passion was guitar. So growing up, I probably played guitar for like 3 years maybe. I also skateboarded at the time and raced bikes. Played my hand in a lot of different things as a child, but it was always something that I loved and I was crazy passionate about it. Slowly skateboarding took that over, and then drugs took that over. And I tried to pick up a guitar maybe probably 4 to 6 years after that. Well, it was not like riding a bike, and I could not remember a single fucking chord, and I was blown away by it truly because I had like made some pretty good progress for how young I was, because my one of my really good friends, he was older, he taught me how to skate, taught me how to play guitar. Maybe he was trying to groom me to rape me. Don't know, because he was way fucking older. So that could have been a thing.
Could have been.
I was 10. He was like 25.
That could have been.
Could have been.
Very.
He also, okay. Now that I think about it, he also took me to his apartment. Okay, now memories are coming back here.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Yeah.
Might have got raped. Weird. We're gonna find out as I dive more into
next
this.
episode.
So, memories are coming back here. I rode all the way across town. Why my mom let me do that as a fucking 9-year-old, have no idea. I was in 5th grade. I don't know how old I was at the time, but probably 9 or 10. I remember him taking me to his apartment. Remember him showing me chords, showing me his skateboards and shit. Like shit that he knew I'd be into because I was. I don't think anything was weird until I specifically remember him showing me how to play porno style music.
Little jazz.
And I thought that was so dope because as a child, that was like, I didn't have much introduction to porn. I remember the magazines in my grandma's garage that were my uncle's. I remember those stashed in an old Studebaker. Beautiful fucking Studebaker in the garage. And I can specifically remember that. So I remember telling him I didn't really know what that was. He proceeded to show me what that was.
Like
put
video,
on
right?
porn to show me the music. Put on 70s porn, which had that music in it still. Yeah. Modern day porn didn't have that anymore. That was what, 2005. No. Had have been 2002 probably when he showed me that. But yeah, thinking about that was a little weird. If it escalated, I probably would have had a dick in my ass as a 10-year-old.
Like just a minor rape.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
minor
avoided
rape.
That one.
Minor rape. Yeah. But
Good
that's
for you.
okay.
Good
Maybe
for
I
you.
did. Maybe I'm blocking it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Are you blocking that
Am I
out?
blocking out the rape?
I'm really hoping you are.
To be continued. You might have to do some self
I'll do
introspection.
I'll do some fucking
Maybe
just some
slip you a
soul
pill.
searching. I'll talk to my therapist about it.
Yeah.
Maybe slipped you a pill and you forgot.
That went off the rails. I don't know where that
Yeah.
went.
So what the fuck were we talking about?
I was asking you guys. Were you guys ever raped? That's basically where I'm going with this.
You could have just said
I
that.
was never raped.
No, not that I remember.
That's true. I remember one time
Oh god.
when I was like 5, and we had we were living in Reading at the time, and I think it was a girl that was watching. She was like 10 years old, but she was like our neighbor friend that was like watching us.
Okay.
So I remember one time I don't know if she was like putting us to sleep, but she definitely rubbed my back.
Okay.
And I felt, as a 5-year-old, I felt that to be slightly odd, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe it was because I didn't know her, but that's the closest thing I have to rape.
I have a story like that, and it was legitimate rape. I've been raped on 2 occasions. So the first occasion was I was okay with it. It wasn't a big deal. Not the very first one. I would say the second one, but the first one I'm going to talk about. The second one, I was in high school. We were at Clear Creek. We were camping. I was on Molly. I was on a bunch of other drugs. I was sleeping by the fire. I just fell through the fire into the river, drug out of the river from drowning, set by the fire to dry out. It was summertime. It wasn't a big deal. I was blacked out. I don't remember that. She climbed on top of me, sucked me off, got me to the point to where she could just jam it inside her fucking gross little hatchet wound. And my boys were like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Grabbed her off of me, threw her in the tent. My buddy's in the tent. She rapes my buddy as well. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you fucking doing? I told this story on the podcast in depth before, long ago. Anyways, the second one, and I haven't thought about this until just now. I had a babysitter. We were living down south at the time. We were living in Asperia, which is what we call up the hill from Pomona, California, Ontario, Pomona, Chico, that area. We were living in Asperia. We were living in a trailer at the time. I remember my parents going out. They were going somewhere for a few days. We had a babysitter that was extremely attractive. I had to have been probably about 8 years old at the time. I would always hit on her. I remember she smoked Marlboros. Fucking crazy. I can't believe I can remember these details. She had tattoos. She was crazy attractive. And that was like one of my first introductions to understanding that I was attracted to women and like what that was. and like I was trying to flirt with her. I was climbing on her back, like, you know, like harmless kid shit. Before that, the only attraction I probably had was probably to like a family friend or a cousin or something. You know, you don't like at that age, you have no concept of what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember watching like Shrek with her. I can fucking remember. I don't. This is so crazy that these memories come back like this. Like what your memories spark something inside of me. You know. Mm-hmm. I remember watching Shrek with her sitting on the couch. And my younger brother, which is 2 years younger than I am, going to sleep. My other brother, Lucas, my stepbrother, I don't know, stepbrother, whatever. It doesn't matter. He was also asleep. And I specifically remember her like grabbing my leg and kissing me. Now remember, I am extremely young. I'm extremely fucking young. I was hyped. I was fucking like, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, I don't remember though if I had like initiated that, if I had been the one to be like trying or like, you know, just doing kid shit, like not knowing, just naive, not understanding that this woman is way fucking older than I am. And that's why she did it. But like, is that considered rape? What would you guys think? I think overall that's probably considered rape technically.
Touching your leg
inappropriately, yeah.
Right. Like technically, but it's from an older female to a younger male.
Sexual harassment.
From an older female to a younger male, in my eyes,
of course, yeah, you're not going to see that as bad. You know, if it were reversed, it'd be completely different.
Completely different. The double standard. The double standard. Yeah, I don't know, but it's fun to classify as rape. It sounds good for the story.
Yeah, but I got raped.
So does that impact you now? Do you think nowadays does that sort of thing? Do you think that, I don't know, just going to throw it out? Are you attracted to women that are always with tattoos or smoking, or are you attracted to women that have that sort of tendency with things? Or
oh my God. Yeah. So I'm attracted to redheads. I love redheads, always have. That's why I think Trev is so attractive. That's why he's still here. I just like to look at him.
I was going to say there had to be another reason.
We can leave if you want.
Brandon's always trying to get at my butt.
Yeah. So I am attracted to women with tattoos. I have always been attracted to the sexiness of like a woman smoking a cigarette. Now, some people that's repulsive. Yeah. Some people that's just like, don't even look at my direction. For me, it's never been like that.
Yeah.
I've always thought that like that line, maybe it stems from knowing that like, okay, you're making bad decisions and so am I. So maybe we're okay for each other here.
Yeah.
Because there's a piece of that as a woman, like smoking cigarettes, like, oh, that's a bad decision. You're on a dead end road.
Yeah.
Financially, health wise, that's a dead end road. But maybe you got some issues and so do I. So maybe there's a little piece of that I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
Like the self-worth, not feeling as if I am worth somebody like that's better than that, because I thought that's an issue I think that everybody has. Maybe like identifying your self-worth within relationships and your spouse that you're choosing, unless you're mature enough to go into a relationship understanding who you are as a person. Typically it doesn't happen because the beginning of your relationship, the beginning of your first relationships take place in high school when you're very immature. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. So possibly that's a great fucking question. And I know what do they call that? Like sexual imprintation, the mental imprinting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That like sexual interactions at a young age, they sort of determine
where you're going to be,
your preference.
Yeah. And I think I was learning, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I think there's also some sense of, you have to look at, you're, as a boy, a young boy, I think they have like for Freud and stuff, there's a Freudian, they call it Freud, Freudian slips and all the various things with Freud that came up with. But he said, I think sexually you are always tending to be attracted to somebody like your mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it made me think, with your mother, it sounds like when you were 9, she wasn't always watching over you when you were 9.
Definitely not.
And you were a bit of a
progressively worse. Yes.
And yeah, you did what you did. And that's what it is. But what I'm wondering is if that your mother being the way she is, that you found that your mother is somebody that you'd be attracted to in that sense, or at least somebody that is your feeling of belonging is different than what maybe a normal relationship should be, because that's what you've always come to know growing up.
Maybe because I know it definitely is like that for women.
Yeah,
women typically find a partner that is, like their father.
Yeah.
And I've heard that for males, they might typically gravitate towards women that are, like their moms, like their mothers, which is totally normal, totally natural, not always healthy, especially if your mother is not the most ideal role model. And I hesitate to talk shit about my mom because before I would, and I have on this podcast, it's well documented. But, as we get further in the podcast, I do hesitate a little bit. But that's a good point. Possibly to answer your question, possibly there's a piece of that. Now, let me ask you guys, like, on that same subject, with your wife, correct? It is your wife?
I have a wife, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like fiance, girl, wife.
No, she's wife, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
okay. So with your guys' wives, do you think that you have picked your spouse based off of either like your first sexual experience, or maybe like attributes coming from your mother or things like that?
No, honestly, no. Nope. I honestly can say that none of that came from like to my self knowledge, like to where like I'm thinking about that, like
can't like relate that at all to your mother.
Subconsciously maybe, but like for me to physically think about that, I would 100% say no.
Is Kyla like is not? Sorry, I shouldn't probably have said her name on the podcast. Okay. Well, I try not to say people's names on the podcast that have never been on the podcast because I don't know how they feel about it.
I'm not worried about it.
So you don't think that Kyla has any like relation in her personality or the things she does or anything like that is similar to your mother? Or maybe the way she runs her guys' house.
To me, that's a loaded question because you could find any similarities with anybody.
Well, the thing about it too is Gabe's speaking in front of Kyla.
No, I get that. I'm not worried to say anything to you. I'm not worried with that at all.
So I didn't want to bias to say I can leave.
No, right. Well, what would you want me to say? No, to me, it's like I could sit here and pick things out that are similar to my mom because you're asking me that.
Okay,
that's a loaded question.
Right. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
That's not fair. And then you mentioned like past experiences. She's far from anything I was ever with before,
right?
Because they were all fucking psychos.
No, totally.
So it's like, I guess, I don't see
with
that.
the past experiencing. I think I more mean like way before your first relationship, like, is there anything that stands out to you like that mental imprinting thing is so important with relationships? Like you were trying to get with me, like trying to break down, is there anything that could have happened that would determine your choices later in the kind of women you chose?
Yeah. For me, I think you're obviously sexually attracted to your wife or your partner or your girlfriend. You're obviously going to find that. And so the question is, what are you sexually attracted to? And a lot of the sexual attraction, where do you get your sexual attraction from? So I think it's a psychological question.
Right.
So, and that tends to be, you get to your Freuds, like I said before. So I think for me, like Gabe, I can associate tendencies of my wife to my mother.
Okay.
So certainly there is that I can easily determine points where my wife is like my mother, but certainly there are points where she isn't. But I think from a sexual preference perspective, I think I think you do gain who your wife will be from how you grew up and what you saw as attractive. You saw cigarettes as being attractive.
Yeah.
Gabe might not have. He might have seen just normal, everyday
just
womanhood is being attractive.
Right.
Normal.
I found for some
family,
reason
I guess.
my wife's Eastern European, so I found her to be very sexually attractive because
Okay.
maybe I'm Native American, so it's different for me. It's exotic for me.
Okay, got
So
it.
that's something for me. It was maybe an exotic sense for me
Right.
that I'm not used to, and I've always liked adventure, and I've always liked to do what I've always liked to do and get out and explore life. And
That makes a lot of sense for
so
sure.
That's kind of maybe that's how I landed, I guess.
It's pretty wild that preference varies
Yeah.
so widely
Yeah.
from me to you to Trev. Like,
Yeah.
none of us have the same preference. We can all agree on like what is attractive and what isn't.
Yeah.
And beauty is always going to be an eye of the beholder, obviously. But when you're talking about sexual attraction, like black or white, I think like we can all sort of agree like this is attractive, this isn't. But I think oftentimes when you're looking for like a long-term partner, a lot of those things get pushed to the side and you're like, what am I actually attracted to? What do I want in a woman?
Yeah.
What do I want in, like, is this woman going to be a good mother to my children?
Mhm.
Is she going to be a good homemaker? Like, is she going to make this house into a home? Is she going to make me feel wanted and feel as if, like, give me enough? Is she going to be independent enough, but also submissive enough to give me the power to run this household as a man? Because, you know, that's still really important in this, or should be really important in this day and age, which I think partially, like we were saying earlier, might need to be reiterated consistently to keep that family unit. Not saying that women shouldn't have independence and shouldn't make their own money and shouldn't have their own career. A lot of people that think that they shouldn't and that they should remain like super submissive in the household. Then like it's more prevalent than you might think. Surprisingly, something I'd recently just discovered. I believe his name is Kevin Samuels. He's a fucking wacky individual. But that I don't remember where I was going with that, but I think that overall is something that is pretty fucking crazy, pretty important, pretty amazing that preference could vary like that.
Yeah, I think it drives. I mean, we are humans. We have our preferences. Ultimately speaking, you're going to choose what you know best and what you've seen. But I think you hit on a valid point, though, with what is there's sexual attraction as to having sexual intercourse. But at the same time, there's also the bigger question of, is this woman going to drive? Is it going to be something for the family? Is it going to be long-term for them? How is she going to be a mom to my son or my daughter? So there's definitely a bigger dynamic than just sexual attraction.
Definitely.
When a choice of partner comes, and that needs to be looked at holistically. Is she going to be a fighter? Or is she going to be passive? Or
Right.
is she going to be somebody that if your son gets called out and, you know, she's going to be on it and
Right.
say, you know, get the fuck away from my son. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
all these different sort of attractive things that's only half the picture. The
Yeah.
other half is, how is she going to be in the
Real life.
sustainability of your life?
Yeah.
And your family unit and with your friends, with your how is she going to interact with everybody around you? And
Definitely.
so it's one of those.
Basically looking at how someone benefits your quality of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What can you add? What can you add? What added benefit can you bring to my life? And how can I add benefit to your life? How can we, as a team, build a life that we are both happy with? And are you the right person to do this with? Now, on some level, do you think that goes back to like sort of like primordial? Do you think that's a primal thing in the way that we choose our spouse? Do you think that there's little things that we look for? Because I've heard like with studies and things like that, I've heard that in the ways that we choose our partners, part of that is primal. Part of that is like when we see wide hips, like that is a sign of, oh, like you, like fertility, like you can have a child, you can birth a child. When we see giant fucking tits that aren't fake, like you can feed a child. Like some of these things are very primal. How do you feel about that? Do you think that like that's legit? Do you think
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. I think that the primordial, what you say, or the primitive, or the emotional, or the part of your brain that ignites that initial attractiveness immediately looks for those traits.
Yeah.
But then as I think it builds from that point, you cannot, it's like it's like a prereq.
Right.
And then from there, you need then to have additional characteristics which match your preference.
Right. Like, here's your primal instincts. This is what you have to work with. This is who you're attracted to, whether it be male or female.
Yeah.
And now all of your experiences are going to make up what you are attracted to. Like, this is your baseline. Here you go.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Baseline, and then step up.
And then step up from there.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to end this fucking podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. I had a
pleasure being
fucking awesome time. This podcast was perfect for like the start of rebranding this podcast. Thank you. I appreciate the fuck out. I hope that we can have you back on. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm happy anytime to come back on.
Hopefully you don't leave here and be like, fuck that shit. That was fucking dumb as hell.
No.
I appreciate it.
I think it's good conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you for filling in for these last couple weeks while Brandon's been out. Maybe I'll just kick Brandon out altogether and be like, yeah, Gabe, you're obligated. I don't care how busy you are now.
Let's get him on the next one, and I'll show up first, and I'll be sitting here.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's a dominant move, dude.
What's up, man? Just like,
you'd probably just walk out and be like, what the fuck are you doing in my spot?
Yeah, dude,
you're here twice, dude? What the fuck?
You can go the third wheel spot like I am today. Yeah.
That's so funny. Or I'll just sit like right there.
Just give him a mic All right, guys, this has been another episode of F&T, episode 50 Thank you, Trev. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Forrest. We are out of here. Later.